Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oop, no, that's not the one I wanted. Hey,
There we
starting.
go. Bro, what I said last week, are we going to do this every week?
Yeah.
And you said no. No, you said yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what
There's
you said.
no way I said no. I don't lie.
What's good, bro? Everything good?
Yeah, man. I just got, like, right before you got here, a massive box of prints back from Photovision. And I sent in 11 rolls of 35 millimeter to get developed. I'm not going to tell you how much that cost because it's enough to make me not want to shoot film anymore.
That's probably the main reason why I don't shoot film.
I love it so much, though. The problem is I got them back.
Like is my film. I'll call it that.
Yeah. Well, no, I remember sending them and seeing how much it costs. I'm like, all right, like, I think I'm done with film.
The prices have gone astronomically up.
Yeah. But then I get all the film back and I'm like, oh, these are so fucking good.
It is, but is it worth it?
Wait, I took my favorite photo ever of my two kids. Would you like to see it?
Well, yeah, put it up on the screen.
So this is, I want to say like.
And ever is a bold statement.
I don't know why. I just love it. And I think that it's sort of like one of those, like, I don't know. I'm going to let you tell me what you think it looks like. But I think that it looks like someone about to drop the next, like, hit album. I don't know why they look like a band or like, there's like so many ways you could go with this.
Wait, is Ash's fist, like, does he have a fist right now?
No, but like.
He's about to fight somebody.
So like my first thought goes to like maybe some kind of, you know, duo nu metal band or maybe
if your kids were in a band, what would their names be?
Like the band name?
Yeah.
Oh. So I think it would be the Emperors.
The Emperors? Why?
So have you seen the new Gladiator yet? Gladiator 2?
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was trash.
It wasn't good.
It wasn't good.
But you know, the two Emperors and their brothers and they're like just cause chaos.
Yeah.
And like don't really know what's going on.
They were gay too.
Well, they were brothers.
But they loved each other. It was weird.
Yeah, well, either way. There's one of them short, one of them tall.
Yeah.
Look at that. The Emperors.
They are not the Emperor.
Yeah, but they cause the same amount of fucking chaos.
I can see that.
Or like I kind of get like a Beastie Boys vibe from that photo too.
So wait, you think that photo's better? Well, I can't really compare it, but that photo compared to this one on the table? I love that one.
Well, I mean, what are we going for here? We're going for like, this is a cute photo because this one's a super cute photo.
Yeah, Ash looks
I'm going to
cool,
hold it up here because every time I try to zoom in on this table, it looks like trash. This one's cute. But there's something about this one where it's just like, I don't know. My immediate reaction was like, yo, that photo is hard as fuck.
No, it is.
So, but anyway.
Nice, bro. So everything good? Everything else good?
Yeah, man.
Yeah?
I was going to put the picture of you up, but you hate it, so I'm not going to do it.
I don't want to see those chicken legs.
Oh, and
yeah, man. Everything's good on my end, bro, too. What did I do last week? Nothing too special.
No?
Yeah, everything's good. I'm just excited. The weather's nice.
Yeah. Are you enjoying?
Yeah.
Because I always have a hard time when I'm not busy. Mm-hmm. I like feel like antsy. Yeah. But then when I am super busy, I'm like, I really wish I wasn't fucking this busy. So I'm trying really hard right now to be like, this is nice.
Yeah, everything's good, man. And I mean, I have an audit coming up in a couple of weeks. So cool. I have to prepare for that. I mean, there's some small things that I'm working on and, you know, behind the scenes. So yeah, everything's good, bro.
I've been excited for this episode because you have some updates on something we talked about a little while ago.
Oh, yes, I do.
About some scamming, and I tried to get the info out of you before this, but you wouldn't tell me. So
yeah,
now I want to hear it live.
I think it was episode 10 where we were talking about, you know, scamming in the wedding industry. And I gave an example of a photographer that we both kind of knew the story about. So recent developments have come out about this story.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember me telling you, I was interviewed by the Washington Post, and they recently dropped their article on her.
All right.
So
for those who didn't see this episode, give like a quick like cliff notes.
Okay. So there was a photographer in the South Jersey area who essentially was scamming clients out of their wedding photos. So she would either show up like 3 to 4 hours late to a wedding, or she would just not deliver clients' photos. Her biggest excuse that she would use across the board was she was going through something at the moment and her husband is admitted to the hospital and he might not make it. And this is the same story she would use for almost every client. And it got to a point where close to 20 to 30 different couples filed lawsuits against her. And the Washington Post got involved and tried to figure out what the hell is going on. And they tried to interview her, reach out to her, and they couldn't get through.
If that many people are filing lawsuits, like, are they winning these lawsuits? Like, what's happening?
I doubt it. Like, she's not going to have enough money to pay all these people. There's no way.
That's true.
Right? Like, what are they going to go after? At a certain point, well, you're going to go after someone's house.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how it works.
I mean, I guess maybe they could pay her. She could pay them back, but yeah, you don't, bro, 20 lawsuits? Like, you're done.
That's crazy.
You're done.
All right. So
so last week I posted a snippet from our episode on our Instagram, which if you guys aren't following, the Dodge and Burn podcast on IG. And then we also have a TikTok too. And then we're also on Apple Music and Spotify. Shameless plug. So I posted
link
a clip.
in the description.
Link in the description and the bio and all
Smash
the
the
things.
like button.
And follow our Snapchat.
And subscribe.
We don't have a Snapchat. So I posted a snippet on our Instagram and I did a poll afterwards. It was sort of like a questionnaire kind of thing and asked, people in my audience and our audience, have they ever been scammed by someone in the wedding industry? And I got a couple of responses back. Ooh. And there was one that stood out to me that was a little shocking.
Okay.
So I'm going to read you guys a couple of these.
Is the person who did the scamming anyone we know?
I think we both worked with this person.
Oh.
And what's annoying to me is this is someone of color, right? And we are already minorities in life, but also in this industry. And for you to now tarnish or just put something like a black flag. What is that? Like a black curtain. What do they call that?
Oh, like a
black cloud.
There you go.
Yeah, there you
Dark
go.
cloud.
Dark cloud, right.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is it
who?
Never mind. I'm going to bleep that out,
yeah,
but I had to ask.
Out.
Yeah. If it's not who I think it was. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know who that is, but wait, no, I think you did tell me about her though. In the past.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't her.
It's not a.
Exactly. But it is someone that has been a videographer at one of our weddings. And I'm going to read you guys exactly what this person stated.
Now I'm rattling my brain.
Yeah. So I posted, have you been scammed badly by a wedding photographer, the anonymous edition? So
did you say photographer specifically or just like wedding?
Let me see. What did I say? I said, have you been scammed badly by a wedding vendor?
Vendor. Okay, cool.
Yes. And we know how you feel about vendors, but
wedding professional.
That's a whole nother.
Still using that term. So I'm just playing this off now, but like it really pisses me off.
Yeah. So this person who will remain anonymous said, we had a surprise wedding. So naturally some family couldn't make it because they didn't know it was happening, which is totally okay. We wanted a video surprise announcement and of the ceremony. She met this videographer while she was actually shooting at a wedding couple years prior. So she said 1 to 2 years prior, she met him at a wedding she was working at. She loved his vibe, his energy. Then he came and she hired him for the ceremony to shoot like her ceremony. And he ended up ghosting them. And about 2 months after the wedding, they never heard back from him from that point.
Did they pay him?
They paid him.
Ooh.
So she says, I have family members that were ill and have since passed away since the wedding. And she gets mad every time she thinks about it because those family members.
Oh, yeah, dude. 1,
never got to see the film before they died. And 2, she has no living memory of them even being at the wedding. Because she didn't hire I don't think she hired a photographer. She just hired someone to capture the ceremony on video.
Because it was just like a quick surprise, quick thing.
Yeah, quick thing. Now, I have some more stories that I'm going to tell you about, but to address this one, I'm a little disappointed, like I mentioned earlier, because this person is of color. And in this industry, we are already a minority, right?
Right.
And minorities in life. So to put a black cloud, like we stated before, on top of being a minority, it just doesn't sit well with me.
And the other thing that you mentioned in there that I think is worth bringing up is like, when you're talking about our industry specifically, and even more so photographers and videographers, the people who are there to, in my mind, make pretty much the only thing you're going to have other than your memory of the day. There's a lot more to it than just like, I lost money in that situation. Like, you lost a lot more than money. In fact, 100%. I think the money part to me is probably like, yeah, that sucks. But like, to not have any sort of documentation of that special thing, like, that's fucked up.
And that's why all these new photographers and videographers that are coming into this industry, and I think you mentioned it before, you were like, I am not doing this because it pays well. Yeah, it pays well. That's great. But I truly enjoy, like you were mentioning, you truly enjoy providing these moments and memories for people.
I honestly think that if the wedding industry did not pay well, I would still do this, but I would just have 100%. To also have a 9-to-5 job.
Exactly.
You know, I'm fortunate to not have to do that, but you know, I think that is something important that, you know, and honestly, like what you just said, like the more sort of young and new wedding photographers, especially, because I don't know a ton of videographers that are up and coming.
Yeah.
The more I meet, it's becoming apparent to me, and it makes me. I was having like an identity crisis the other day thinking about this.
Or is it midlife crisis?
I had that already. We're fine. But it was one of those things that I was like, I see all these people, and I feel like the vibe is, I want to take your money and do something that I can show off.
Yeah.
And that's like the first thing on their priority list.
Putting your money to work.
Well, it's like, but it's not, their first priority isn't, I want to do whatever I can to give you the memories and the things that you want and the things that I think are important. The priority is, I want to make myself look good with your money.
Right. And that's like, something that, again, a lot of these new photographers, they need to understand that yes, the money's great, but do you realize that
your responsibility with great power
comes ginormous responsibility?
Yeah.
You miss that first kiss, or you miss a very important moment from that day, it cannot be recreated.
Yeah, it can't. And you know, it's my conundrum was, I see a lot of these people that I feel like have this viewpoint, and some of which I know have this viewpoint, and they're very successful. Yeah. And when I say very successful, like much more successful than you and I are.
Yeah.
Well, me, I can't speak for you. I don't want to throw your name in there, but you know, and then like, I know what they're charging. I know what they're making. And like, part of me is thinking it's hard when your job is also the thing you absolutely love and would be doing anyway, because part of me is going, well, like, you know, you could sell out and just start pushing for that kind of stuff, but would that take you away from the part of it that you love doing?
100%.
And I'm like, and I think my goal is to make what I offer worth more money, but not change what I offer.
100%. And again, that poll that I posted, I was pretty alarmed, man, to kind of see the amount of people that have been scammed. So I'm going to read you another one.
Here's a question for you before you read that, though.
Yeah.
Did you get any of people sort of, this goes along with our conversation last week about when you have an unhappy client, and we talked about sometimes that unhappiness has nothing to do with us and what we did. It's sort of, it might be a projection, it might be whatever. Did you get any responses that were like, I got scammed, and then you sort of read what happened? It's like, well, you didn't really get scammed. Maybe you just didn't understand what this is, or
yeah, there was one that was like that.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
There was one that was like that, but there was one that I'm like, wow, like I actually am also very disappointed in that vendor for doing that. And basically this response was, a friend's videographer deleted their entire raw footage, at least 5 hours worth, while the contract stated they would have at least 2 years to ask for the raw footage at no additional cost. And they asked for the raw footage 6 months after the wedding. And the videographer stated that they deleted everything because they needed space on their hard drive. Mind blown. Like, what? What do you mean you needed space on your hard drive?
So my mind immediately goes to they fucked up and deleted it by accident. Then what are you going to say?
But like, bro, at that point, like, how do you, like, in order for me to delete like everything, I would have to go and delete it in my backups. I would have to delete it on the cloud. I would have to delete it from my computer.
That's assuming this person had a good backup strategy.
And they probably didn't, which is crazy.
Didn't. They probably were one of those people that make me fucking crazy that have the drive we're using right here to record this, the little guy, and they have like 10 of them.
Everything that's on there. Yeah,
that's all they have. And it's like, well, yeah, like this one has some of this, and I'm like, I would organize your shit.
It literally says portable hard drive. It's designed to just be portable.
Yeah.
Like something you plug and play and go from location to location. That should not be your main source of how you keep all your documents.
So I just want to make sure I understand this. So they were allowed up to 2 years did they have to pay for the raw footage?
No additional cost.
So like they have their wedding video, but they wanted the
raw photos.
Raw footage.
Raw footage.
So maybe it was stuff that didn't make the final cut. They just wanted everything.
They just wanted the entire 5 hours.
Gotcha.
At no additional cost.
I mean, I guess it's no work to give that up.
No, it shouldn't be. You just be like, okay, I'll send you a hard drive. Done.
I think it's weird for us in the sense that like, we kind of think of raw photos. Yeah. I'm like, I wouldn't give anyone my raw photos, but I think that's a little different than the raw footage.
It might be.
Well, just because the nature of the medium, I think that you can still get something from raw footage, like even if it's not good, like you could see the whole ceremony, which probably isn't in the highlight reel. You can see exactly. So I think it's a little bit different. Like the photos that I don't deliver to you, I mean, you could see them, but you're probably not going to be into them. There's a reason I didn't give them to you.
Exactly. Okay. So I have one more that I wanted to share with you, which I thought was a little interesting.
Okay.
And we've been talking about this topic for a while now. So this person stated that they hired a photographer who advertised themselves to be a luxury wedding photographer.
Ooh, our favorite word.
And based off of his portfolio, we did not receive those expectations on the actual wedding day. So we stated that this is what you portrayed to us, and we did not receive that experience, and we would like some of our money back, and he refused to refund us. That's So,
I mean, first response to that is that I just got that feeling like we were talking about last week when it's like you get an email of someone being unhappy.
Yeah.
That sounds like, I would love to think that person really did not get the experience that they were expecting and their photos were not good.
But there's so much to dissect there, bro.
Right. Exactly. Like
what does luxury mean to you? What does it mean to that photographer? What did he portray himself to be?
And here's another thing that I didn't bring up last week I wasn't going to, but now that you said this, I'm going to bring it up. There's one thing to know about, or just to keep in mind when you're talking about, it's not even luxury photographers. It's just photographers as a whole.
Yeah.
When we are showcasing our best images, we as a collective, I guess you could say, generally the ones that you are drawn to are going to be photos of beautiful people, right? Mm-hmm. Not for any other reason that it's sort of human nature. That's where our eye goes. That's just sort of generally what you're going to look at, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like when you see beautiful people in beautiful spaces, whether that be, a model at a style shoot, whether that be, maybe just a beautiful bride.
Or that this photographer literally portrays their Instagram as a highlight reel, and that's what you're sucked in as, and that's what you see.
And exactly, and that's what you're seeing. And those photos look that way for a reason. Mm-hmm. There could be a budget that you don't have, which is totally fine.
Oh, 100%.
But I find that you can look at these photos of beautiful people and expect that you are going to look like that. And I'm not saying...
Wait, you're saying that it's okay to expect that?
No. I'm saying that is the expectation. Like
from who though?
From the client. You can make me
look. So clients need to reduce that expectation.
I think
I think they do,
yes,
bro.
Yes. I'm just
They
like,
do.
That sounds shitty, but I think it's true.
I know it sucks to say, but like you just said, like you may not have budget for a wedding that has $100,000 in just lighting.
Or you might be ugly. Sorry.
I didn't say it. Simon said it.
No, I don't mean it that way. I mean, I did, but it's more like you look at this really expensive wedding with a beautiful bride and, this looks this way because how good this photographer is.
But maybe at the same time, maybe the photographer really sold her something. He was like, you know what? Well, right. I'm going to make sure your wedding looks like this, like that.
That's the other side of this, which is we have no idea. We have no idea what that interaction was like, what was promised. No. You know, if it's on the one hand, if she looked at this person's portfolio of all these insanely beautiful things and just expected her to look like that, that's one thing. If this person was promising that or explicitly saying like your wedding has vibes like this one I shot, so it's going to look like that. Like, I'm sorry, but like getting married on, getting married at where I got married at Lake House Inn on that nice lake.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, but it's not going to look like Cuomo.
Nah. So in 10 seconds or less, who was right and who was wrong in this situation?
I think that my initial reaction here is that she is probably, has improper expectations. But I'm saying that as a photographer who has dealt with this before.
In my 10-second response, I think they both share the burden of being wrong in the situation. I mean, I can go much deeper into that, but I know. It's a 50-50 thing.
And we talked about this in the last episode too, but we'll never know. But do I think either way that's a scam?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a scam, but maybe read your contract better next time.
Yeah. And
don't sell people something a false promise. Right?
Don't be a bitch. So in our show notes for today, Ant wrote something that says SD card debacle.
Yeah.
And I asked him about it and he goes, we'll talk about it.
So I wanted to kind of talk about this interesting dynamic between photographers and videographers on wedding days. I personally think it's a very interesting dynamic between wedding photographers and photographers on wedding days.
You said that wrong.
Why?
You said wedding photographers and photographers.
Please keep that in. Keep that in.
It'd be a weird dynamic indeed.
Keep that in.
No, I'm going to keep that in.
So I think there's a weird dynamic between wedding photographers.
I was going to just let you keep going.
Bro, you should have kept
it. Texted making fun of you. Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
So between photographers and videographers on wedding days, I think there is a hierarchy. Like, I think maybe I'm tooting our horns. Maybe I'm talking shit. Maybe I'm not. But I think without a wedding photographer on a wedding day, the day will be chaotic. Like, it's not going to run smoothly. Yes, you'll have wedding planners that will whatever, but photographers, I think, are like that mold. We're like the glue. Like, the wedding planners are the architects. We're the glue that keeps it all together. Because, for example, I had a wedding in New York City 2-3 weeks ago. And shout out to Visual Rose. I love you, Nick. Great guy. And he's one of the very few videographers that I think understands how to blend in and how to also take control on a wedding day. Because 90% of the time, videographers that I work with are always in the cut. They're quiet, they're in the back, they're not saying anything, they're not giving direction. And it's usually the photographers that are giving direction, that have to make sure that people are in line, that make sure that, the timelines are being followed. Like, I literally was in New York, like I mentioned, and the planner wasn't with me. She had to be at the venue, and she was also with other people in the wedding party. So I had to make sure, she was like, make sure you're here at this place at 2 p.m. on the dot. So I had to make sure I had keep track of time. I had to direct my couple, give them poses, give them prompts, give them things to make the photos look good, right? Which kind of translate into making the video look good. So this is no shade to my videographers at all. I love majority of the ones that I work with, but I just think that the hierarchy when it comes to video and photography will always be at the top.
Now, do you think that is, are we talking strictly video to photo, or are you talking about the hierarchy of like every like wedding professional on the day kind of thing?
I think that's hard to compare the entire
I
day.
mean, I think one of the reasons that we are responsible for a timeline most of the time, especially if a planner's not involved, is that we are the ones that like have to get the most shit done.
Absolutely.
In a certain period of time. Like,
absolutely.
Really, if it wasn't for photo and video, between them getting dressed and going to the ceremony, like there's nothing to do.
Right.
So like the timeline is because we need a timeline.
Right. Imagine if we didn't say anything, we kept our mouths shut.
Yeah.
The entire day.
Oh yeah. There'd be nothing.
The day would fall apart.
Right. But like the day would fall apart in the sense that they wouldn't get any photos.
Yeah.
But I would like to believe that most people could get ready at 11 a.m. and then be at a church by, 3 p.m.
Yeah.
If they didn't have anything to do. But you said something else in there that I thought was interesting about videographers being dependent on our direction.
Yes.
I think that there are definitely some that I've worked with that are, I always, the hierarchy there is an interesting dynamic because I've worked with video teams rarely, but it's happened. And I find that it generally happens when you're working with like an associate video team who has specific things that they need to get. You know what? There are like, there's a lot with
What's wrong with New Pace, bro?
I don't know. I'm off Facebook, so I don't know what's going on.
Oh, okay.
There's no weirdness going on with New Pace.
Okay, just making sure.
But no, like I remember, I think one of the worst experience I had with a video team was they were associates and they were given very specific instructions that they had to get a wide, a medium, and a tight of every single shot.
Oh my God.
And there were very specific things that they had to do. And, it was clear that, I'll use this as an example because I don't think this is going to give away who these people were, but like, so we were getting ready to do a first look, and this was the most elaborate first look I've ever done. And not because this is what the bride wanted to do. And I was like, this is actually kind of cool. Like to figure out how we're going to shoot this. And she was starting to get really, really nervous, and my vibe on wedding day is like, hey, there's literally no reason to stress. We're like, I don't make this about the photos. Like you're going to walk down these stairs and you're going to see your bride.
Is this about to be a horror story?
Oh yeah.
This is a horror story.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
It got worse from here.
It got worse.
So she has to walk down the stairs. The front door is going to open and he's going to walk in. Like not the complicated part was like, how do we shoot from down there and get her going down the stairs, which not a problem. I stand up there, get over the shoulder, get out of the way. Easy. So she started to get really, really nervous about this. And I was sort of calming her down and just saying like, hey, listen, like, don't worry about us. Like we got this. All I want you to worry about is walking down the stairs and seeing him for the first time.
Yeah.
Like tune everything else out. She was like finally starting to calm down. And this dude walks up and goes,
the videographer.
Yeah, I got to put this microphone on you. Yeah. And she's like, why? She goes, so we can get your reaction. Like, she's like, what do you mean my reaction? What am I supposed to do? And he's like, well, like if you say anything, she's like, what am I supposed to, like, it was clearly she is getting really like frazzled by this.
She was already frazzled.
And she goes, you know what? I don't want to do that. And he looks at her and goes, well, I kind of have to.
Yeah.
And I turned to him and I go, hey, can I talk to you for a minute?
Yeah.
And like, I understand what he was saying. He's like, they told me I needed to get this. And I was like, yes, but the bride does not want you to. And
that's what you have to do.
If they asked you why you didn't get that, and you tell them that the bride didn't want to, and they're still mad at you, I probably wouldn't associate shoot for them anymore because that's 100%. Fucked up. So like there was that. And then, and this is another pet peeve of mine with videographers, because this just feels disingenuous to me.
Is this a pet peeve or is this a horror story?
Well, the pet peeve is part of the horror story. No. You'll understand in a second.
My friend.
So we did this elaborate first look, which they had to pause in the middle of it. They made, wait, stop. So they could change camera angles.
Okay.
Which was just like, what are you doing? So they do it and it goes great. I was like, thank God. And then they're like, okay, can you go back up the stairs and you go back out? We're going to do it again.
Oh yeah, I've seen that before.
They did it 4 times.
I don't like that at all.
And I'm like,
like, what did you not get? Like, how did you not get it the first time or the second time?
Well, so like in this instance, it was they had to get a wide, a medium, and a tight of everything. And like
this is crazy.
But like I've seen that a bunch of times, like reenacting stuff a million times, and it's sort of like I don't understand why.
And this kind of goes into my SD debacle.
Okay,
this is actually a great segue.
Got you, but. The horror story synopsis is the rest of the day got worse and worse of that. Like we basically gave up at one point because we thought it would be, they had all these really cool cars and we thought, hey, we were trying to find somewhere private for them to read their vows. Yeah. Like, why don't you guys get in the car? So then the video team sets up 4 cameras around this car. And they're like,
this is after the first look.
Yeah. They're reading their vows. They're shooting on like 35 millimeters. So they're up and close. And I'm like, hey, can we like let them read a little bit? And then you guys can come in and get stuff. Cause like your cameras are in all of these shots, like reflecting. They're like, well, no, we have to get everything while they're reading them. And I was like, and at that point I was just like, you know what? We're going to walk away, do whatever you need to do. And then we'll come back and get photos of them. And I let her know, I let the bride know, I'm like, listen, like, this is what's going on. And I was pissed, but I wasn't trying to show them. And she's like, well, so you're not going to get us actually reading them? I'm like, honestly, like we don't usually get you actually reading them. It's just sort of like holding them, looking at each other, which is not true, but what am I going to say? You know? So we walked away, we let them do their thing and they came back. And then basically everything else throughout the day was just like that. It was like, you know what, you guys do whatever you need to do and then we'll come in and do it later. But it was just,
I've seen that happen before, like a couple of times actually. And it's just level of experience, honestly. That's what it comes down to. Like,
I think so. Yeah. And I felt bad because I think this was the lead guy's first time, like first associate shooting. So,
which kind of goes into my debacle.
Oh yeah. SD card debacle. I can't wait to hear what this is.
I had a videographer. This is actually the craziest thing I've ever seen at a wedding.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't know why I haven't told this story more often, actually. So I was shooting a wedding and we were getting ready for, why does it happen around first looks? Actually, this was also a first look.
You know, I mean, you know why? Because it's like the first part of the day where like the photographer and the videographer, there is a single moment that needs to be captured.
Yes.
And it's sort of like, you need to
work to get up.
You can't fuck it up. And I would normally say you can't redo it, but apparently you can like 4 times. But it's sort of like, how do we work together so we can both get what we need to get?
So,
and that's immediately when you realize if you guys are going to be good working together or not 100%. Working. Yep. So,
yeah. So the videographer, it was 2 of them, and we were looking for them. We couldn't find them, and we were like, "Where's the videographer?" And they had a 3rd guy who was like just flying a drone around the place because we were getting ready to do the first look. So I set up for the first look. My second shooter's ready for the first look, and we're looking for the videographer to start the first look. Couldn't find him. I asked their 3rd shooter, I'm like, hey, do you know where the videographer is? And he says, well, we kind of had an emergency. I need to talk to you for a second. So he pulls me aside to like this back room away from the bride and was like, so the videographer just realized he left all his SD cards at home. So he had 0 SD cards to videograph or I guess film. I just aged myself. Videograph.
Well, if you're going to call
Cut that
out. Giving me shit for being a boomer last week. And now
I'm turning into a fucking boomer.
Jesus Christ.
Videographed.
Videographed.
That should be the title of this episode. Videographed.
No, that's what it's going to be.
So what he told me was they actually drove over to Best Buy to go buy like 10 different SD cards.
16 gig cards at Best Buy?
And I was like, I went to the bride. I was like, I need to pull you away for a second. And I don't know how to tell you this, but this is what has happened. Because the videographer didn't even tell the bride she was leaving.
That's so fucked up.
They just left. They didn't even no one knew where there was except for the 3rd shooter. So I had to let her know what happened. And she was livid.
Yeah.
So upset. And I asked her, I said, what do you want to do? Do you want to wait for them to come back? What do you want to do? She says, no, we just have to get into it because the ceremony is going to start in an hour. So we go ahead, we do the first look. The videographer still has not come back. And what happened in the meantime, they asked the third shooter to capture the first look on an iPhone. I swear to God, he took out 2 iPhones, put them on tripods, and captured the first look like that. Then the videographer finally shows up, and it's halfway through the ceremony. He comes blazing through the fucking shit, like down the middle of the aisle. People are like, what is this guy doing? Where'd he come from? And then he stays with us the rest of the day. And I told the bride at the end, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know why this happened to you, but I can try to do more portraits for you, whatever you need. And she says, don't worry. Trust me. I will make sure to get my money back from all of this.
Were you shooting solo or did you have a second?
I had a second. Yeah.
I feel like
crazy
in that situation, not to say that you should have done this at all, but like that would make me feel so bad for the bride. I probably would have just like shot video and had Mag to shoot photo.
That's a good point. That's a great point, actually.
So it's funny. I did that recently because I've been doing a lot of drone stuff.
Yeah.
For mostly like cool, like aerial photo stuff for couples. But I've been taking some drone shots for like social for us. Mm-hmm. And the videographer's drone took a shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's up there. So like, what do you want me to get?
Yeah. If you want, I can send it to you.
Well, I have my computer with me because we dump cards to the computer like throughout the day. That happen too. So I just gave him the road. I'm like, take whatever you need, buddy. Like it's a thing. It's like, I know we're bitching about videographer stuff here, but like we're supposed to be a team and helping each other. And like in that instance, if that videographer had like come to me, and I'm sure this would be a similar situation if he actually told you, but like told me the situation, one, okay, send your second to go get cards. Take this card. Yes. I have a shit ton. Take this card. Use it for now.
Ask the photographer.
Or if there was something going on, I'm like, okay, what are you shooting 60? Are you shooting 30? Like,
I literally had 2 extra SD cards in my bag.
Or like, hey, tell me your settings and I'll get it while you're gone. Like we don't need, we don't always need 2 people shooting a first look. Like,
and like you said before, it comes down to experience.
100%.
You know what I mean? And this kind of like, I want to like segue into like another fun topic.
Okay.
So I don't think this is a business idea at all by any means, but I think it would be fucking hilarious to do.
Okay.
Is starting a Yelp for couples. And what I mean by that is just how couples can leave reviews for businesses that they've worked with. What if we started like a Yelp for couples and be like, this is my experience with Joe and Jason. And
so the question
Janet.
is, in what situation would that couple be in a position to hire someone that would go check them out on Yelp after their wedding? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I thought it was funny.
I would be all about doing that just to be able to vent about a couple.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
and like only other photographers can see it. Like, ooh, that sucks. Or,
right. Only photographers can see it. Right.
That'd be kind of fun. Like Yelp, but like venting Yelp.
Yes, exactly.
Dude, actually, I keep thinking that, and if there are any videographers who do this, please tell me, because I think it would be hysterical. You know how like they always make the joke when they're miking up the groom, like, all right, guys, like, don't say anything like bad. I got a mic on. Generally, these days, they're turning the mic on when they're doing it, and then they're turning it off. I think a videographer somewhere, and it would have to be the right couple, they would need to, and I think they would need to bring on a third shooter to just be doing this, but put the mic on the groom. And like maybe, or like the best man, or just someone who like,
just let them record the whole day,
and have someone shoot that person with a really long lens like they do at the NFL. And at the end of the video, do like an NFL mic'd up so you can hear him saying like funny shit.
I love that idea, but would the couple want that in their gallery?
This would have to be like, hey, I don't think it would be something you would charge for. It'd be like, hey,
or maybe just do the groom.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think just doing the groom would be fun.
Maybe the groom and like, or just,
like all the family members or something.
I think what you would want to do is you would want to say like, hey, we have this funny idea to do. Like, who in your bridal party is like funny? Like,
that's a good idea.
And just like put a mic on and be like, hey, you're mic'd up for the day. Like, because they tell, the NFL players know. And like, which makes them kind of be a little more goofy, I think.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But you have to like shoot it the right way. Like it has to be like, it's never someone like close up. It's always like, you know, the sideline camera is getting the other sideline of just like saying funny shit.
Wait, how can we translate that into photography?
There's no audio.
No, but like, what's a good alternative? Like what's something a photographer could do that's similar to something like that?
I mean, I think doing that, do exactly that, but just like shoot it vertical and just you do it for social.
Just capture all that person's candids and reactions.
Yeah. It might be funny. I don't know.
That would be fun. All right. So as we're wrapping up this episode, we should do a hot button topic. And
let's do dear couples because we were just saying we haven't done that in a while.
Yes. Actually, I like that better. Okay. You want to ask me something?
Yeah. I mean, I think that.
Okay. I'll ask you. Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to try to tread lightly with this one here.
All right.
So you know, it's funny. You know how like you've probably seen like
the smile on your face leads me to believe you're about to say something that.
No.
All right, go ahead.
Have you seen, I mean, I'm sure like Dave Chappelle or like all these other black comedians or even like Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart always be like, Kev loves the kids. Like I love the kids and Aunt loves the kids. But
I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear the kid opinion from the childless.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
Aunt loves the kids, but not on a wedding day. Hear me out.
Okay.
Now,
dear couples,
I think you should stop having kids at your wedding that are under the age of, we'll say 7, because it can be a huge burden on the mom, the dad, the families of that day. If you have a kid that's like 1 year old and they're continuously crying and they're acting up, or even 2, 3, 4 years old, they're running around. You can't keep control of your kids because you're like the maid of honor. Maybe you're single and you have 3 kids and you got to bring them all to a wedding and they have to be there, right? And you have no one to watch your kids. It can be very chaotic.
Yeah.
So I personally think, yes, it's cool to have your kids to be a part of your special day, to like take some family photos or to be maybe part of the getting ready. But when it comes to the rest of the day, maybe send your kids home and let them go enjoy themselves and play with their toys and their stuff. Because I've experienced when they aren't let go during the wedding, they can be chaotic. I will just put it like that.
It's so cute how easy you think childcare is. Oh, just send them home with the babysitter.
Yeah, bro. Everyone has a babysitter, right? At this point, not everyone. Okay, I take that. I take it back. Cut that out.
I'm not cutting any of this out. I'm gonna let them roast you for this. Okay,
No.
Okay, like immediately my mind goes to like, well, if you have a newborn, like you can't like, and you're breastfeeding, like that's a hard, like, you know, that's one.
Sure.
The other caveat to this is like,
I don't have kids, by the way, so I'm
no
just...
shit. I think if we're talking about that, it can't be like it has to be a blanket statement, like no kids.
Sure.
And you have to understand that there are going to be people that may not be able to come to the wedding because of that.
Well, I'm so sorry on Susie and Sally. You gotta stay home.
No, I get that. And I'm all like, if you're okay with that, but like, you know, I have seen situations where like, okay, no kids. And then someone close to the couple is sort of like, well, I can't leave. And for whatever reason that is, it doesn't really matter. And then they get pissed. And it's sort of like, well, if you're going to have the no kid rule, like you have to be prepared for that to be something, you know. That being said, I totally get that.
Okay.
And I'm not going to lie. In the small occasions where we get invited to weddings as straight up guests anymore, and there's a no kid policy, like,
yeah, I want to act out a little bit.
It's like a date night, you know?
And plus, like, if you get to leave your kids at home, you feel less anxiety, less stress, and you can actually have a good time at the wedding.
What I think the best course of action is that Maggie and I have done, and we've seen other parents do, which is great, is like, get the kids ready with you.
Yeah.
And then go do family photos and like that kind of stuff with them. So I want like they can be a part of it.
That's what I'm saying.
And then as soon as you get like, like if they're older kids, maybe let them like, if they can keep it together, ceremony.
Over 7, 8, 9, 10, starting to get into
and then
the
maybe
teenage.
Cocktail hour. Like the older the kid, the later in the day. But like by the time the reception rolls around, like
I love my couples. And Emily, I love you to death. You were amazing on your wedding day.
Name dropping. Let's hear it.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
But I felt a little bad for her because while we were taking portraits, her daughter was crying. And her daughter, I think, is 2. And she just, I understood. Like she felt anxious and she felt a little bit of anxiety because like, she's sort of a newborn, she's 2 years old still, is trying
not close to a newborn, but
continue. I know, but like she's weaning off for, being so close to her mom. She's still very, very young. And
was her mom the bride?
Yeah, her mom was the bride. And
that's a tricky one too.
It is because we really couldn't get that many portraits, at least the ones that I wanted, because she just had to be close to her daughter.
But do you hear what you just said? The ones that you wanted. I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying.
You make a fair point.
I know what you mean.
You're right.
Like,
you're right.
I think that, when you become a parent, and this was me and I did it kicking and screaming the whole way, but like you eventually get to the point where it's sort of like, this is how things are now. And it's amazing. But at the same time, like,
no, you're right.
I know the artist in you wanted to get these portraits of her, but like maybe
it's not even the artist. It's like, we cannot recreate this. This is a one-time thing. Your children will be with you, hopefully, until you die.
But you just said also, we can't recreate this, which also means we can't recreate your child being able to be present at your wedding.
Agreed, but there should be like we stated, there should be parts of the day that the child should be there. But when it comes to the important parts, like taking portraits and the first dance and all these things, the children shouldn't be running around the dance floor while you're sharing these special moments with your partner. Or maybe they can. Maybe I'm talking shit and I don't know.
I gotta disagree with you, man.
Okay.
I did a ceremony recently and where the flower girl, who must have been 3 maybe, would just kept walking up to the bride in the middle of the ceremony, like tugging on her dress and like. And the bride would kneel down and talk to her. And there were some of my favorite pictures and some of their favorite pictures. It's like, I gotta say this. I think because you are not a parent.
No.
I'm not, hear me out.
How old was this kid though? How old was this kid?
2 or 3.
Okay. All right.
I would have the exact same perspective of you that you do 6 years ago before Asher was born.
Okay.
And now I see it a little differently.
Well, Aunt loves the kids. I love the kids, bro.
I know you do. And I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but like that particular example, like, yeah, I'm sure it was stressful, but like every second of my day is stressful with kids. Like Maggie and I were just talking about taking a vacation, and we're like, we want to bring the kids. And then we're like making these plans to go to Mexico at this kid-friendly resort. And then
exactly. And then you have to go to a kid-friendly resort now. Well, wouldn't you want it to be an adults-only resort with your wife?
Sure.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. That like there should be. Yeah. All right. Let me not.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that we want to take the kids, but then it becomes apparent that like that is no longer a vacation for us just because of the ages of our kids.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But I feel like a wedding is a little bit different. It's a special day. And then like.
You tell me your 2-year-old is going to remember that.
No. But
you will. I know you will.
I will. And I want the pictures from that.
Yeah, it's a trick.
Sorry, this is a hot take that for the first time ever, I completely disagree with you. But that's why we do this.
Yeah, bro, this is a good episode, man.
I can't wait till you have kids, whatever that may
Everyone
be.
Everyone keeps saying that.
And then we're going to do a special edition long after this podcast is gone. I'll be in like a wheelchair with liver disease from how much I drank. And Aunt's going to be like, you were right. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Word, bro.
This is good, man. Oh, last thing. We need a videographer on this podcast.
Yes.
I feel like we talk a lot of trash on videographers, which we love videographers.
Yeah.
And we do talk a lot of trash, and I feel like we don't give them their good graces.
And honestly, bro, I wouldn't even say just videographers. If you want to be on the podcast and you feel like you have good energy, maybe you're fun, maybe you're not. maybe you have a good story to tell. Maybe you just want to come and chit chat with us. And if that's you, definitely send us a DM or leave a comment in this reel or on YouTube.
However, if your intention is to come here and be a little nervous and then have the two of us do excessive shots of Jameson, Megan, I'm looking at you. I love you.
We're talking to you, Megan.
That was a fun episode, but there were definitely points in that episode where I was sitting there going, I think I drank too much Jameson. Yeah. So,
all right.
But if your intention is to do that, we're not doing that anymore. So,
all right, my guy. Until next time.
Yeah.
Peace.